how do masks actually help us with this? So it says right here that these coronavirus particles are spheres with diameters of approximately 0.125 microns. The smallest particles are 0.06 microns, the largest 0.14. So these are very small particles. Can a mask actually stop them, is the question. You can see that's how small coronavirus is compared to the size of a red blood cell. N95 respirators filter out most airborne particles down to 0.3 microns in diameter. Now, they did some tests, tested different common masks by running a diesel generator to mimic car exhaust, piping exhaust through the masks. They used a particle, now this is going to be of course more aggressive than you'd ever experience in a live situation. They used a particle counter to see how many particles made it through the mask. Here's my super scientific rendering of the setup. One important detail, the particle counter they used measures particles as small as 0.007 microns. That's over 10 times smaller than the coronavirus particle diameter. With a cotton handkerchief, you're getting out about 28% of the particles that you're blocking. That's not a lot. A surgical mask, boom, even the cheap ones, right? You're getting out 80%. That's the number you're going to want. That's huge. Given that the news outlets have claimed surgical masks can't capture nanoparticles, it's particularly surprising that the surgical mask was able to capture 80% of the tiny particles. In another study, researchers shot actual virus particles at N95 masks. The masks captured over 95% of the virus particles. So these masks are quite effective, particularly the N95, which is very thick, tight weave. Even poorly performing masks captured over 90% of viruses. The researchers chose two N95s that scored poorly in an earlier study, yet even those poor performers still blocked 94% of particles. So masks really, really are effective. From what I can tell, and what Fauci has said and everyone else too, is that the mask is most effective at stopping the virus from coming out of your mouth. So even if you're not, sick, but you're a carrier, wearing a mask is protecting everybody else in the environment. So when you're going into a grocery store, it makes a lot of sense to wear a mask no matter what, just to make sure that you're not a passive spreader. The people who are most vulnerable in the grocery store are the grocery store workers. Those are the people who are going to be there for the longest period of time. If the ventilation doesn't get all of the particles out that are COVID, they might end up getting the 1,000 particles needed within a day period if they're in there for 8 hours. So everyone wearing a mask is just the right call right now.
Then, fit the mask on your face. Pinch the metal strip or stiff edge so it holds to the shape of your nose. Adjust the mask over your face, covering your mouth and chin, making sure there are no gaps between your face and the mat to avoid contact from behind without touching the front and it closes.
You want to wash your hands before you put the mask on. How often should you clean your favorite fabric face mask? A weekly wash should be fine if it's not soiled, he said. How should you clean your face mask? Throwing it in with the rest of your laundry. Do you need to wear a face mask every time you leave the house? Prevent yourself from exposing other people. You should wear a mask in situations where you're likely to come into contact with someone else, especially in close quarters. But during a walk or run outdoors in an uncrowded area, it's fine not to wear a mask, Schaefer said. If you're going to the supermarket, you should wear a mask, he stressed. There's no doubt about that. What are the best fabrics for your mask? According to research, some fabrics from around your home can filter almost 80% of the particles. And remember, it's because the particles, are on water droplets. They're on basically moisture droplets. If those things absorb into the mask, well, then the mask is contaminated. And you might still breathe some in, but it's still not as bad as having it literally go right into your mouth or your nose. Wearing a mask does not eliminate the need for social distancing. Since 25 to 50% of people with COVID-19 have no symptoms, hence why homemade masks are so important. Public health officials discourage purchasing a surgical or N95 mask as they are in short supply and needed by healthcare workers. That's still the same data after all this time.